And what is going on, everybody? Quancredible here, bringing you the review for Four Nights of Apocalypse, chapter 29. We're actually one away from 30, which is really dope. I hear we're getting a color page next week, so looks like everything's going great with the manga so far, which is always good to see. This chapter, honestly, just kind of just moved along. Nothing really too crazy. However, this chapter did, like, it's basically confirmed at this point for me. But it really kind of just makes it to where Sin, there's no way Sin can be Bond to me at this point. I'll get into it in the middle of the review when we get to that point, but for me, as of right now, there's no way Sin is Bond. It's just not possible. He has to be a new character entirely. But moving on, in the beginning of the chapter, and even in like the actual cover page of the chapter, the ancient dragon is kind of just going crazy, destroying everything in its path. It is extremely upset about seeing its egg smashed or broken, or just thinking its baby is dead in general. So it is destroying everything in its sight. And in the midst of it, destroying everything and blowing fire and just, being on this general rampage, we do see Sylvain and Sin, and Sin is like telling Sylvain that they should go underground, and Sin also says like he wonders why do humans keep causing so much trouble, which is so weird because if Sin was Bond, or even if Sin was Bond turned into something, he wouldn't note to other people as humans, like saying that as if he wasn't one. This isn't my only reason in this chapter, but this is one big reason because Bond is pretty like he's pretty upfront with his humanness. Like he isn't one to like think he isn't human, or like even the whole time he was immortal, he still thought of himself as human. So just this in general is just very odd to me. It's very odd. It's just a very odd choice of words for him if he was Bond. I just realized that I am so dark right now. Hold on, I need to fix this. I'm like really dark, like super dark right now. Hold on. There we go. Much better. A little bright, but much better. You guys, I feel like you guys can actually see me now. But anyway, from the cell, they can hear the dragon going crazy on the outside. Taizo is asking Hauser again to help them out. Hauser's still sitting there, kind of confused at this point. It feels like Hauser, like, again, I keep trying to remind myself that he is drunk, so he's not going to be like as responsive as I wish he would be. But he's kind of just sitting there in a daze, and Taizo leads them over to this wall that has a secret passage in it, and here we see the baby dragon has actually already hatched. So essentially, the dragon did hatch, but Eldon didn't want to bring it back to the mother in the condition that it's in, because it's like weak, it's like kind of sickly, it's not doing good. So he probably, it makes sense that he wouldn't want to bring it back, because it's like, it's like if the mother sees it in this condition, she's probably gonna go on a rampage too. And it's so weird because I thought this, and then it's nice that like Annie said, is that Eldon is like such an odd man, because it's like you stole the egg, but then it hatched and you want to give it back, but you didn't want to give it back because it was sick. It's like trying to be a good guy, or is he trying to be a bad guy? And this is like, it's one of those things where this kind of makes me like Eldon's character a little bit, because he's kind of all over the place. And this is kind of like the thing that like you do when you're 16, you just do a bunch of crazy stuff all over the place. I mean, sorry for any of my viewers that are 16 or younger, but you kind of just do some crazy stuff sometimes. You just do whatever you feel like you need to do in that moment. But anyway, Nansen says he is going to try to treat him and, try some medicine on him, because at this rate he's not going to last 3 days. I'm very confident in Nansen's abilities to probably get this dragon up to the shape that it needs to be, and this will probably more than likely be like what the fix is for this entire like scenario. Like Nansen's at some point will probably get this baby dragon back to like a decent shape, and they'll probably present it to the mother, and that'll probably be what the conclusion is. And but here we have Sylvain and Sin pulling up. Percival's asking, did you see Donnie? And Sin's like, no, it's the only person we're missing was Hauser. Again, it's like, Donnie probably ran away. He's not coming back for you guys, which, Percival does say, even if Donnie does run, he will come back, which is one thing that I do enjoy about like the cowardly type characters, is like if they're the kind of cowards that will run but they still come back, that's kind of dope, because that shows like you were actually scared. Because a lot of times in stories, in all these series, you have people that are just that never shake in like freaking any scenario ever. But the fact that there are these more human like characters that are more relatable to like you and me, that would run in these crazy scenarios, but then they really think about it and it's like, dang, those are my friends back there, I want to help them out, and then they come back and they try to do something. That's always like really commendable to me, when they at least try to do something. So that's kind of one of the things that I like about Donnie a lot. And it's even in this moment that Percival takes the dragon handle and he throws it back to Hauser and says, you're his uncle, so make sure you give that back. So this is like, because I thought from that last chapter that Percival was going to take the sword and do something with it to the dragon, but now it's really setting it up for Hauser to give it back to Donnie, and Donnie may actually have something going on with his handle. Now, I will say when Donnie uses his magical ability, he does use like both of his hands and then the little dagger thing. So I wonder, is it something toward Danny, or not Danny, toward Donnie channels his magic through whatever item he's using, and then it kind of like using that as a conduit is what makes him lift things up. So I wonder if he has a more powerful conduit being the dragon handle, or that like boosts his ability like tremendously or something. I'm kind of like spitballing here, but I kind of hope that this may or may not be the case. But from here we do get a little flashback on Donnie leaving his night training, and he's asking, why does he want to leave? And Donnie does bring up a good point, which is something I talked about last video with, how him and Edelyn don't really have magic types that are suited for combat. And this is what Donnie says. He says he doesn't have his magic force anyway. And then Hauser's like, it does not matter, about what kind of magic he has, about how you use it, which is true. Which is very true. A big thing is how you use your ability, not necessarily what your ability is. Because there's like no telling to what extent you could like make your ability go up to. Because if you take like a character like Bond, say like we didn't get to see a lot of Bond's ability when he first started, but Bond's ability when it first started was probably only able to snatch things very close or very small in proximity to him, and he's brought it all the way up to the point where he can literally drain people's strength and abilities or give people power. So like there's no telling how like what the limits of anyone's ability is. But Donnie, as a child, wasn't necessarily seeing that at the time. Not to mention he didn't want to die, which is...
That's fair.
And we do also have Hauser thinking about all the stuff that is going on with Donnie. And it's funny because as he's thinking about it, Sin is staring at him. And this is like the second and last thing, which is kind of like the final straw for me on what I believe why he is not Bond. Because Bond knows Hauser, so he would say something to him, especially if he was like this. And I see no real reason why he would be keeping his identity this much of a secret and acting so much out of character. So it just doesn't make any sense, honestly. And this makes me think that Sin isn't any of the 7 deadly sins, honestly. Granted, a lot of them aren't humans, but I feel like they would say something to Hauser, and I can't think of a reason why it would need to be a secret. So kind of with this, I really do feel like this all pushes Sin to be, or Sin more than likely is a completely new character entirely. Either that or someone that was so irrelevant in the main story that we're just not going to be able to figure out who it is. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards as of right now. But we do go back to the present after that, and it's like, Edelyn's hanging on and he's falling, but then Donnie does save him, and Edelyn is kind of just reflecting on his life. He's kind of just like, whatever. Like, he seems just really over it. And Donnie is telling him that he does want to go back to being a holy knight. And Edelyn was like, didn't you quit because you didn't want to die? And Donnie was like, yeah, it's true. I don't want to die, because now he says he has friends that he is now willing to risk his life for, which is the big thing. Because I'm assuming like Donnie definitely probably had friends or people that he cared about when he was growing up, but he probably just didn't have those true people that he felt that deep connection to that he wanted to risk his life for, which is really important. It's a really important thing to find. So he does end up seeing Percival, and Percival does tell him to jump. And Donnie, he lets go. He tells Edelyn to let go, and the dragon just shoots another huge fire blast at both of them. And Percival, with his hero type magic, does do the thing where he like absorbs all of it, similar to when he absorbed what was that guy's name? Talisker? I think it was Talisker when he absorbed his lightning, similar to when, or the hail actually too, but similar to that, where he absorbs all of the ancient dragon's fire and then literally just blows it back at the ancient dragon, which didn't do anything to it. I didn't really expect that attack to do anything, but it is going to show that there is going to be this small face off against those two, which honestly, I don't really want Percival to just beat it. Like, I kind of want them to fight to like a stalemate, or like the dragon's about to win and then they present the baby dragon. That kind of would be more of a desirable outcome to me, because it makes Percival not seem super overpowered. Because like so far, Percival, like, I mean, he has a really broken ability, but I feel like this should be like above what Percival can beat, like, just to me. I mean, like no doubt in the future he'll definitely probably be able to beat something along these lines, or no doubt that Hauser could probably take this dragon if he really wanted to. But I just don't want to see like Percival or anybody just beat this dragon up, because really, like, the dragon doesn't deserve to be beat up. When I was thinking about it, it's like it just wants its kid. So like beating it up, like beating the dragon up like the dragon, is doing something wrong is kind of messed up to me. So that's why I kind of don't want the dragon to be beat up. But yeah, and that's the chapter. There is one small thing that I did want to take note of, is that it's funny because Percival's little chibis have the wings that it had once Percival, you know, kind of unlocked his whole like cloak ability, or when he was using his like hope ability. So like I wonder, like, is this now a thing that Percival can just use like whenever he wants? Like, is it like is he conscious of it, or is he not conscious of it? Like, honestly, I kind of just want Percival to understand his magic more, so then we can then thus understand it more. Because as of right now, it feels like Percival's magic just really just does whatever it wants whenever it wants. But I doubt we're gonna find out any more about it during this fight. I mean, if we do, cool, but I just doubt it. But as I was saying, that is the chapter. Overall, I give it like a 6. It wasn't like super crazy to me. It was just kind of average. Honestly, yeah, probably like a 6. I mean, 5.5 just seems like unnecessarily low, because I did like it more than just like it wasn't whatever to me. I did kind of enjoy it with a little bit of Donnie backstory. But all in all, I am really excited to see where we go next chapter, because next chapter feels like it's going to be like the really big climax where we kind of get to see lots of stuff unfold. So I'm just, I'm really pumped for that. Also, I'm excited to see what the color page is going to be next week, so I am excited for that too. So make sure you guys like the video as well as subscribe to the channel. Make sure you comment down below how you guys are feeling about the chapter, what you guys think is going to happen next week. I really do appreciate all you guys' support, and I will see you all in my next video.